Buddhism is one of humanity's oldest spiritual traditions, having had a profound influence on world culture, philosophy, and the way of life for millions of people. Its history spans more than 2.5 millennia, beginning with the events that marked the beginning of the path to enlightenment for one man who became the Buddha. In this video, we will tell the story of how and in which years Buddhism emerged, examining the historical context, the stages of the development of the teaching, and its spread throughout Asia and the world. Our narrative will transport you to ancient India, where, amid social transformations and a deep spiritual search, a teaching was born that later became a source of wisdom and a spiritual path for generations. Ancient Indian context, the conditions for a new teaching. In the 6th century BCE, the Indian subcontinent was experiencing profound social and religious changes. Vedic rituals, the Varna system, and numerous sacrificial ceremonies were beginning to raise questions among the educated classes. Ideas emerged about the need for personal spiritual experience, inner transformation, and the search for truth beyond traditional rituals. It was precisely in this context of social upheaval and philosophical inquiry that the figure who would soon change the course of history, a prince named Siddhartha Gautama, was born. The birth of the Buddha, the life of a prince who renounced luxury. According to traditional legends, Siddhartha Gautama was born around 563 BCE in the Shakya kingdom, located in what is now northern Nepal. Legend has it that his birth was accompanied by many miracles. Immediately upon his arrival in the world, it was foretold that he was destined for greatness, to become a teacher who would save all sentient beings. However, despite his luxurious upbringing and privileged status, the prince felt an inner emptiness and unrest, which was caused by the vanity of worldly life. In his youth, Siddhartha was surrounded by all the pleasures of life, opulent palaces, exquisite cuisine, and endless entertainments. But soon confronted with the inevitabilities of aging, illness, and death, he realized that material pleasures could not provide answers to the fundamental questions of life. This realization sparked in him the desire to understand the true nature of existence, to overcome suffering, and to find the path to enlightenment. Renunciation and the spiritual quest. At around the age of 29, Siddhartha made a fateful decision to leave behind the pleasures of the world and embark on a long journey of spiritual discovery. He renounced luxury, abandoned his family, and took the vow of an ascetic, dedicating his life to meditation, the study of wisdom, and self-knowledge. This period of wandering became a time of intense spiritual exploration, during which he studied the texts and practices of various ascetic schools of the time. Despite undergoing numerous trials and practicing severe ascetic disciplines, Siddhartha found no satisfaction in either the extremes of worldly life or those of asceticism. He realized that the path to true enlightenment did not lie in rejecting the world altogether, but in finding a balance between physical pleasures and spiritual practices. This understanding became a crucial turning point on his path, preparing him for the final moment of awakening. Enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. According to tradition, the decisive moment came when Siddhartha decided to spend the night under the sacred Bodhi tree, the tree of wisdom, near the town of Bodh Gaya in modern India. It was in the silence and deep meditation of that night, after many hours of battling inner demons and doubts, that he attained enlightenment. At that moment, he understood the nature of suffering, the essence of life, and the path that leads to liberation from samsara, the endless cycle of birth and death. The knowledge he gained formed the basis of the teaching known today as the Four Noble Truths. 1. The existence of suffering. 2. The cause of suffering. 3. The possibility of the cessation of suffering. And 4. The path leading to the cessation of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. According to the Buddha, this universal principle offers every individual a way out of the cycle of endless suffering and a path to achieve nirvana, the highest state of liberation and tranquility. The Buddha's first teaching and the formation of the monastic community. Soon after his enlightenment, the Buddha decided to share his insight with others. His first sermon was delivered in a place known as Lumbini and later in the region of Benares, Varanasi. It was in these places that he gathered his first disciples, who became the foundation of the future community, Sangha. For several weeks, the Buddha expounded his teachings, explaining that true liberation is attainable through the understanding and practice of the Noble Eightfold Path. This initial gathering of disciples, 1WW,